Welcome to Subramani. So this is my last of the basic investment philosophy or my investment philosophy statement. So I'll tell you now what are my advantages. Advantage number one, I know I'm not a good analyst, or I'm a decent analyst, not a great analyst for sure. And I have not done any analysis for the last so many years. I would rather do a very cursory analysis and then speak to the analyst who is really doing it day in and day out. That brings me to the second big advantage. First big advantage is knowing that I'm not a good analyst. Second, that means I have no ego when somebody else sends me a report in reading it with an open mind. If I were to judge that person, then I would say, "Arey, this girl knows nothing," or "this boy knows nothing," kind of stuff, because obviously all these people are junior. An analyst would typically be 30, 31 years of age, or maybe even younger. So then you say, "Oh, they have no experience," etc. That doesn't happen to me, because I have been corrected many times in the past by people much younger, who are much better, and they also spend 365 days with a few companies. I can't do that. I spend few hours. I don't spend more than 3.5 hours on the balance sheet at best. It would actually be lesser than that. So there is no ego in accepting what they say. My other huge super advantage is, in most cases I know whom to talk with. I know a couple of big analyst teams which will have 300-400 people, effectively the people I know. So I am very easily capable of spotting the person doing an analysis of, say, Bandhan Bank. Or an IDFC or a Yes Bank, right? So I can spot such people because these are the banks which could be more difficult to find. It's easy to find a State Bank of India analyst or an HDFC Bank analyst. You pick up a phone and you will find an analyst. But these banks may be a little more difficult to find, and also for me, many fund managers act as my analyst, because when a fund manager buys a particular share, I look at it and say, wow, why is he buying it? Like, for example, I think in April 2021, I saw Cholamandalam in the, or I may have seen it in May, June, when Naren in his opportunity fund had bought a lot of Cholamandalam, and that was, I think, after a long time that he was buying. I don't think I had seen it in his portfolio before April 2021. That means I will trigger a call to the analyst and say, hey, what's happening? Why is there buying happening, or why is there selling happening? So knowing whom to call is a huge advantage, and I think knowing two people to call is about 2 days effort, or maybe 2 weeks effort, rather than just sitting and looking at the numbers. I still do look at some of the numbers, read the notes on accounts, but today balance sheet analysis has become understanding the international accounting standards, or even the Indian accounting standards, has become a bigger challenge than understanding numbers. There's not enough in the numbers. The story is not completed with the numbers. You have to go to the notes, and there is just too much hidden there. So it becomes more and more difficult. So knowing which kid is working on this is a huge advantage. So that is another advantage. Another important thing is, I know in which part of my portfolio I'm a trader and in which part of my portfolio I'm an investor. That's a huge advantage, because because the rules are very different. Like, for example, Shanti Gears is something which I would keep selling at a higher price and keep buying at a lower price. Now what happens is, let's say I got 50,000 shares of Shanti Gear. I may be trading only in 5,000, so it gives me the guts to keep on selling. Like, I sold at 192, 195, 196. 204, or all those prices I sold, and I was just lucky in selling, because that was the price at which I could I was very convinced that I should not be holding, I should be selling. And thank you, Mr. Putin, I got a chance to buy them all back at about 176 yesterday, I think. So these kind of advantages show up when you know very clearly that if I pretended that I am a long-term investor in my full portfolio, then I would never have looked at this opportunity. I would have convinced myself, and then there is always confirmation bias to say, wow, look, you're so smart, you bought this at 70 rupees, today it is 210, you are a genius. But not really. Over a very long period of time, every decent company gives you decent returns. You can only enhance those returns by doing a little bit of trading in it, right? So I've been trading in Shanti Gears, I used to trade in Fortis Hospital, I used to trade in And companies in which I would not trade would be, say, an Hitachi, an LMW, an MRF. MRF, I don't have a position, but I'm saying that these are the bigger companies where trading becomes very difficult. But every other place I would do some trading and enhance my portfolio, and my trading income from that portion of the portfolio is normally 2 times or 3 times the dividend that I earn. So as long as I get 1x of the dividend, I'm happy. So Cholamandalam, I'll be very happy if I can get 1x of the dividend on my portfolio, right? And I have to get that out of 10% of the shares. I don't trade in the whole share. I may be trading in 10% or 5% or sometimes 15%, but definitely not more than 15% ever. So that's another advantage I have. I can move in and out. I have another, this is sometimes an advantage. It is an advantage for experienced people, and a huge disadvantage for inexperienced people is to say, my portfolio does not follow a particular structure. So I could be very commodity heavy. I could be brand heavy, I could be MNC heavy, I'm heavy in a couple of groups, right? So I can do that because I don't stick to any particular norm as to what percentage should be in commodity, what percentage should be in branded goods. Should I move out completely from metals? Moving out from metals, does it mean I move out of steel, or but I can still be in aluminium, right? So those kind of things, I don't have to follow any rules or regulations. I am not answerable to any trustee or directors or board or even somebody junior to me, right? There's nobody who is looking at my portfolio on a regular basis. So I can go up and down in certain things. I can go to, technically I can go to 100% cash and 0% equity, or 100% equity and 0% cash. I can do all that, but I'm always worried that if I move to, let's say, 100% cash, and then the market moves up, then I will have regret. It is easy to say I won't have regret. Like, for example, there is a theory which says you invest only when the market is down. You don't invest when the market is middle. You just, when the market is down, you put in all your money, and slowly as the market stabilizes, you keep selling and you move to zero equity and 100% cash. So this 100 to 0 movement is something which people do, and I can't do that. I can't come below, I don't think I can come below 80% in equity. I can only, my play is that 80 to 85 or 90%. That's all my play is. I would not come much below that. Yes, occasionally when you feel that some shares are extremely overpriced, I can get out of it completely. Like I had got out of MRF, I had got out of Hero Motors when Honda left. So some of those rare things happen. I don't think I'll ever come to 0 in Reliance, HDFC Bank. I don't think I'll ever come to 0, or Colgate or P&G or HUL or Nestle. I don't think I'll come to 0. HUL, I'm very close to 0, yes. I'm not too keen on that. But so again, talking about my philosophy, not giving examples. Not having investment restrictions is huge advantage. And portfolio sizing, I always thought portfolio sizing can be made into an art, made into a science, but I think I have not learned enough about portfolio sizing to call it a science. I will continue to call it an art and say this is how I do, rather than how it should ideally be done. So similarly, my view on PSU stocks, sometimes I go to 0 in PSU because I think the PSUs are overhyped. Sometimes I go higher up because I think the PSU gives good yield, but I am convinced, which I learned from one of the most intelligent guy I met, is don't have a permanent view on a company, right? I don't have a permanent view on most PSU shares. PSU shares, I refuse to have a permanent view. Now companies like, say, Murugappa Group or Supreme Industries or MNCs like Colgate, I have a permanent view. I'm willing to hold them permanently, but on a PSU, I refuse to have a permanent view because it changes with the government. So when the government says it is going to sell BPCL, the price goes up, which shows that people just don't trust the government as a promoter. It does not mean I don't have a position. Right now I have a good position, but I may be selling some of those positions. It's got nothing to do with it being a PSU or not being a PSU. In fact, 2-3 people whom I track hold a lot of PSU, like Naren, Prashant Jain, even now Roshi Jain, Anand Radhakrishnan. In all their portfolios, I see a lot of PSU shares. So I'm happy holding them for good yields, low PE. But yes, I going to zero in say a Coal India or a GAIL or Indian Oil or maybe even ONGC does not really hurt me. So I will do that. So this is basically my investment philosophy.